what I do is I just love connecting amazing entrepreneurs. And in my mind just automatically starts defaulting to, well, who do I know that could help them or that might want to partner with them? And when you bring two people together from at that place, doing business together is just so simple, so easy, because they just totally jive with each other. And at the end of that presentation, I just said, you know what, if this resonates with you, if you feel like I might be able to help you, well, here's what that would look like. Here's what the investment would be. And we ended up making $35,000 in sales of that course that I had just created.
Welcome back to the Hustle and Grind podcast, the show where we dig into why real entrepreneurs trade comfort for conviction. This isn't about vanity metrics or overnight success. It's about the stories behind building a reputation that actually matters. I'm your host, Andrew, keynote architect, platform builder, and fellow founder in the trenches. Today, I'm sitting down with Kevin Thompson, the $1 Million Relationship expert and founder of the Impact and Legacy Collective. Kevin is a true master of strategic partnerships, having generated over $16.1 million in revenue exclusively through high-value relationships. He even built a $1 million one-person business, proving the immense power of connection. Now, Kevin focuses on helping other entrepreneurs unlock new opportunities through these very same strategic partnerships, creating lasting impact in their business and beyond. He's been featured in Forbes and other top publications, and his philosophy is rooted in generosity, authenticity, and integrity. As the host of the $1 Million Relationships podcast, he makes introductions that don't just drive business growth, but also transform lives and create meaningful change in industries and communities. Get ready to learn how to build relationships that truly matter. So, Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it. Just based on our past conversations, I know this is going to be a really exciting show. I know we're going to have a great conversation. So I'm
totally with you, Andrew. And this is going to be good. This is going to be good.
So you are a power networker, and I'd like you to explain what that is and why you do it, and just give us a little bit more reality on what that is.
What's interesting is I look at that term, power networker, and I'm like, okay, what I do is I just love connecting amazing entrepreneurs. And I've had this gift for years where I just love talking with entrepreneurs. I love hearing about what they're up to, what they're working on, what challenges they're dealing with, what opportunities they're wanting to take advantage of, what their superpower is, what they are just world class at doing. And my mind just automatically starts defaulting to, well, who do I know that could help them or that might want to partner with them, or that, like, if they brought their thing into this world, this could be really cool. And then I just make these connections and stuff. And what I have found, I've gotten really clear on who I serve. And the entrepreneur that I serve is that entrepreneur who's already well established. They've been doing their thing for a long time. They're world class at doing what they do. And on the other side of the coin, they are all about, how do I use my business to make my biggest impact in this world? And they place a high value on relationships. And they're just giving, generous people. In fact, their default position is they always show up ready to help, to serve, to give, to contribute, to pour into others. They couldn't show up any other way. And those entrepreneurs, I'll tell you what, man, that is the magic spot right there. And when there is, this connection where there is trust in both like competency as well as character, and then there's alignment of interests and values, that's the sweet spot right there. And when you bring two people together from at that place, doing business together is just so simple, so easy, because they just totally jive with each other. And when you bring amazing entrepreneurs like that together, what they are able to achieve together is so much bigger, so much more powerful than either one of them could possibly achieve on their own. And that's what I love helping bring together, man.
Well, it's a team sport.
Yes.
I've got I've got a hoodie that says, a friend of mine gave it to me. It says I can do cool stuff with my friends, and that's how I like to do business.
Exactly.
Is being able to, let's go out and change the world. I say this a lot, and I really mean it, that entrepreneurs have a very special place in this world, and we are the ones that are crazy enough that will change it. We have this, I reject your reality. I substitute my own mindset. I'm going to go make this change. I see a problem. I'm going to fix it. Yeah. And I think when we do it together synergistically, it makes it not only a lot more fun, but it also makes it so we can amplify the power we have. Each one of us has a specific thing that we're very good at. Like you said, you're working with entrepreneurs who have been around a long time. They're good at their lane. Yeah. But then moving it beyond, now takes a bunch of lanes, put them together into the sweet spot, and you have something magical happen. Yeah. So that is, yeah. That's absolutely awesome, man. And I think you also brought something up that I think a lot of people don't realize at first, especially if you're first starting out or you're coming from a lack mentality. It's not necessarily about competition.
Yeah,
there's a lot of business out there.
Yes.
We don't have to be cutthroat about it to do it correctly.
Nope. Not at all. Not at all. And in fact, a lot of people do come from that place that business is this competitive thing, and I've got to be crushing my competition kind of a thing, And I will tell you, you can get a whole lot further coming from a collaborative kind of a mindset. And how can I bring my gifts, my abilities, my resources, my connections to the table for the purpose of helping this other person and helping them further the relationships that they already have with their customers, with their prospects. And if we come from that standpoint of that's how I want to show up, we're going to get the red carpet rolled out for us. Because everybody else, people reach out all the time, and I'm sure you've experienced this. People reach out all the time that like, hey, we should do something together. And if you send business my way, I will share a percentage of, I'll give you whatever, 10%, 20%, whatever, And that messaging pretty much falls on deaf ears. It doesn't get very far with hardly anybody responds to that kind of messaging. But because that's not what they want. What they want is what I was just talking about. They want somebody to show up going, you know what? I was looking at what you do. And man, I am like so impressed with what you do. And I would just love to have a conversation to see if there might be a way where I can bring my gifts, my abilities, my resources to the table for the purpose of just helping you further the relationship with the people that you serve and stuff. Well, we're going to have a far different response to that. And showing up that way in this collaborative, having this collaborative and co-creative conversation that we do together. Well, when we have that kind of a conversation, they are going to be far more bought in because they were part of it.
Exactly. And it turns out to not be transactional.
That's right.
A relationship-based company. And I think that I know a number of people who do that, the connector, they know somebody to be able to help. And it's that connection and that community aspect that, I don't know, for me is a whole lot more fun. I'd rather go out and have a whole bunch of new friends and just build these amazing things and go out and do this awesome things and then get into some sport like, snowboarding down a hill at speeds far faster than are advisable or, stuff like that. My next one is skydiving. That's the next one I want to try. But
I've done that, and that is an adrenaline rush for sure.
I love my adrenaline, man. So what was the sequence of events that got you into this? Like, what happened to make you, what was the backstory behind it, I should say?
So I kind of fell into it. So there's this guy, Joe Polish, and I met Joe Polish in 1995, so 30 years ago. Joe was actually my introduction to marketing, direct response marketing. At the time, I owned a carpet cleaning and restoration business, and that business was beating me up, quite frankly. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know. I had blown through about $300,000 and I was still like not growing that business the way I wanted to. I had worked for 7 years as a commercial fisherman in Alaska, to save up money to start that business. And I found out about Joe, ended up hiring him. He helped me completely transform that business. And Joe and I became very close friends. Then later in 2000, I started this website called getmoldsolutions.com as an extension of that cleaning business. And a couple of years later, we had that website was producing about $15,000 a month in revenue for the company by 2003. And in the spring of that year, Joe and I were talking, and because he used to put on this big conference every year for the cleaning industry and stuff. And he's like, Kevin, he's like, would you be open to coming down here this year and speaking at the seminar and speak at the event and showing everybody what you're doing with your website? And I'm like, sure. And he's like, okay. And he's like, and before you do, he's like, what I want you to do is I want to have you put what you do into a course and just put that together, because when you come speak, there's going to be a certain percentage of the folks that they're going to want your help. And I want you to make sure that you're ready to offer that to them. And so I created this course and just outlined everything that I did with my website and stuff. And later that year, I ended up speaking at his event. First time I ever spoke in my life. I was definitely nervous. Fortunately, the crowd, there was a lot of friendly people in the crowd because a lot of them knew me and stuff. So that made it easier. And then once I got into it, they started getting into it. And so before I know it, I was like, oh, this isn't bad, and at the end of that presentation, I just said, you know what, if this resonates with you, if you feel like I might be able to help you, well, here's what that would look like. Here's what the investment would be. And we ended up making $35,000 in sales of that course that I had just created. And I'll tell you what, Andrew, I didn't make that kind of money that quickly in the cleaning and restoration business. And I'm like, wow, this was a really good day, Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it at the time, but I had just done my first ever strategic partnership with Joe. And, looking back now from where I'm at, we're talking like almost over 20 years later, and there's been a lot of water under the bridge. I've had a lot of experience since then, but that was my very first ever strategic partnership. And during that process, not once did Joe and I ever talk about, or did Joe suggest, Kev, if we do this thing, man, we're going to make all this money, We never once had that conversation. And the reason he invited me to speak, the reason he put me in front of his folks at that event was because he knew that I would increase the value that he already had, increase the relationship that he already had with the people in attendance at that event. Yeah. And if he would have thought for 1 second that I would have in any way damaged the relationship he had with any of those people, he would have never put me there, regardless of how much money could have been made. It wouldn't matter. He would have never done it, And so, that was my very first experience in doing this 23 years ago. I will tell you, that was in the fall of 2023, April 19th of 2004. I sold the cleaning and restoration business, and we moved into the other thing, and we started a publishing company, and we went on to sell $16.1 million worth of that product. And so all because Joe said, why don't you do this thing, Kev?
Yeah. All because of one idea. And sometimes that's all it takes is one idea going, there's a problem to solve. I have some value to add. Let's go do this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think that people make it more complicated than it sounds, and they think they have to do it isolated. Yeah. And I think one of the issues we run into, especially when we first start in that entrepreneurial journey, is not having that tribe yet, not quite finding those people that are willing to show us, hey, there's another way to do this. Because what we think is going to happen in business, unless you've done it, it's, your mindset's different.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And finding those people to help us through it. And again, it's a team sport. I mean, I've had it too, and I've done strategic alliances, and I love them because now it's let's pool our resources together and figure it out for ourselves and bring team grades together. And you make some really close friendships. I have as well over the years doing that similar thing. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
So you had the cleaning business, and then the education business. What else have you had? Because from the bit that I've gotten from you, I think it's serial entrepreneur. So I kind of want to hear what else have you been into and what are you up to recently?
Well, so running the publishing company for 12 years, I did almost 500 strategic partnerships, similar to the one that I did with Joe. And through that process, I really came to understand the value of right relationships. And I was so appreciative of all those partners that I had over that 12 years, because without them, my business would not have been growing the way it was. That business, I mean, we grew that business very quickly, because of all the partners that I had and stuff. And the way, one of the ways that I would be of service to other people was, I do have this natural gift for seeing connections and making the right kinds of introductions and stuff. And so throughout running that publishing company, I was making introductions for entrepreneurs all the time, and the first really big introduction that I made was 13 years ago for these two guys. And they went on to make millions together and stuff. And that's what first got me thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if I could have a business where I just got to do that all the time? And that's what planted the seed. And that seed was planted, like I said, 13 years ago. Took a few years to germinate. But in 2017, I held this event at my home, actually right here on the other side of this wall. And I invited 15 entrepreneurs. And for the whole purpose, I wanted to just get them together, introduce them, give them a space to start making real, meaningful connections. Like I said earlier, connections that are based on trust in both character and competence, and where there's also this alignment of interests and values. Because I knew if I did that, then great things would come from it, because I'd already been experiencing that, And so that was such an amazing experience. And I've been on this road ever since. And we ended up letting the publishing company go. And now I moved into this other thing. And so right now, I guess I would be, I've never used the word power networker to describe myself. I do feel like I am a conduit of trust for the entrepreneurs that I serve. I'm a connector for them for sure. And I'm really intentional about who I serve, because I want to play a game worth winning. I want to play a game where I can make introductions for the right people that lead to 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure deals. And the revenue, and we've already got 7-figure deals going, and now I'm working towards 8-figure deals. And the thing is, though, Andrew, it's not about the money. It's not about the revenue. I mean, of course, that's great. That's important. But it's about the relationships. And when we get that piece right, and when you do it with the right people, it is definitely a game worth winning. And I'm playing that game. So. Yeah.
I think a lot of times when people hear entrepreneurs go, "Hey, I built something that's 7-figure, 8-figure," they think it's bragging about the revenue. It's a high score. It's like, let's go on to this next cool thing that we just did. Let's keep on going and bigger. It's different than what a lot of people think it is. It's not really lack based. It's more, I want to go see what I can do. Can I do another one? Can I do it again?
Yeah.
Can I do it bigger?
Yeah.
So after 30 some odd years in business, especially to the people that are just starting out and may not have anyone around to be able to give them good advice. I think one of the things I've said before, and I really mean this, and I've been through this as well, is a lot of times when we start in business, and we've always known that we were an entrepreneur in the back of our head. There's always something there that kind of brews. But even if they are trying in the best of intentions, most of the time, the people around us don't understand what it is. They have not been through it. They haven't experienced it. They hear a lot of a lot of this noise. They hear a lot of this bad information, things like you have to, always be cutthroat to be good in business, stuff like that. What are some pieces of advice you would give to somebody who may be just starting out or getting a little bit of traction on it? What would you do to help them? Or what is the best advice you've ever gotten that you can share with them?
Well, I can tell you from personal experience, if you can grow far faster and far more profitably by partnering with other people than you can by any other means. And I'm not saying, don't run ads or don't invest in advertising or anything like that. But what I am saying, if you're not incorporating a strategic partnering thing in your business, you really should. Because, like I said, there is no business that's better business than referred business from somebody who just sings your praises to whoever that they're talking about to you, talking about you too and stuff. That is the absolute best business we could ever get and stuff. And so we should be very intentional about doing that. And the thing though of reaching out to people saying, hey, we should partner together. And if we do, I will share revenue with you. That is not the conversation we want to have. The conversation that we want to have is, how can we collaborate together? How can, I'd love to have a conversation with you around how we might do some amazing things together that neither one of us would be able to do on our own. And I would just like to bring my gifts, my abilities, my resources to the table for the purpose of helping you further the relationship you already have with your clients and with your prospects. And I would love to have a collaborative and co-creative conversation with you around how we might be able to do that and stuff. And I'll tell you what, that's a powerful conversation to have right there, and some amazing things can come from that.
And I think it's, for me, I have basically 100% referral, using collaborative partnerships like that to be able to make the company work. And for me, not only do I get to tap in, not only do we get to create really cool stuff together, I get a partner who can help me through some of this. And that helps me to see, oh, this is what I need to do. This is, somebody who understands what that entrepreneurship world is wow. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to get some advice for those people that are first starting who don't have that standard yet, to be able to say, this is, now you have somebody in your world that is part of your tribe that can also help you build that as well. So I think, that's some amazing advice there. And thank you very much for that. That's awesome.
You bet.
One of the things I always like to ask people, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you see yourself doing?
More of what I'm already doing. So what you talked about, doing business with friends, hanging out, spending time with quality people that I just enjoy being around, and I have been really blessed. I do not have a single client that I serve that is not already a friend first. And if I wouldn't invite someone into my home to have dinner with my family and I got no business being in business with them and stuff. And so that's the only clients that I serve. And I love spending time with my clients. And I love collaborating on how we can do more together. I love putting pieces together. I love, and because I care about them so much, I will be like this stern but loving parent with them. And so for example, I host these Zoom calls for my clients and stuff. And on these calls, these are very busy entrepreneurs. There's, when successful entrepreneurs have very busy schedules. And so when you get them on a call, when they make that commitment to be there for whatever period of time they've allotted for that, once they're off of that call, they're on with the rest of their day and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so even though, say, they'll have a conversation and then they realize that, oh, there's really something here and stuff. And I when I used to host these calls, then we'd get on the call next month and I'd be like, hey, you guys had this great conversation last month and stuff, and you guys were going to follow up on that. What came from your guys' follow-up conversation? And they were like, oh, shoot, we didn't follow up. Well, as soon as they got off that call, like I said, they're on with the rest of their life on to the next thing. And best of intentions, they didn't follow up. And so now, knowing that, having that experience, now I'm way more of a stern but loving parent kind of thing. And so now when they're having those conversations, I'm like, okay, Bill, you got a calendar link or whatever? Yep. Okay. Put that in chat right now. John, you go grab a time on Bill's calendar right now. because this is that important. Set this in motion right here while we're on this call and stuff, and, now we have way better results because of that little simple thing right there. And understanding how they operate and stuff. And I will tell you, they really appreciate me holding that role for them. I got a client right now, just this week. She's getting ready to launch a new YouTube channel, and she has hired this expert. And this company is helping her with the how-to part of it and stuff, and she's like, Kevin, she goes, but I need help with implementation. And I'm like, okay. I said, don't they have any resources for that? And she goes, yeah, they got some resources for them. And for that, and I've talked with them, and, they're cool, but there's just not an alignment with them and me, And I'm like, okay, I got you. And so I said, let me just follow up on this a little bit. And so I did a little bit of follow up, had a couple conversations, and I found somebody that is, in fact, when I had the conversation with them, quite candidly, Andrew, they totally blew me away. Just some of the stuff they shared, I'm like, damn, they are really good. They totally understand this game, and just stuff they said demonstrate that they just know their stuff, And I'm like, and they are going to be so in alignment with my client. And so I got to get them connected. And here's the thing. My client is somebody who, she already runs a very successful business, and she has a long-standing belief that she always hires the best experts that she can for anything that she's trying to do and stuff. She doesn't want to mess around with it. She doesn't want to waste time with it. She goes, I'm just going to hire the best so that we can get it done, and we get it done right, and we can get it done quickly. That's her mindset and stuff. And so a guy like me, being the guy who can just go out there and do that legwork, and it already kind of has some of those relationships and can kind of tap into my network on her behalf and just make those, that is incredibly valuable for her. Because that hasn't been her focus, is the relationships. She's great at building relationship with her clients, but she's not the networker like I am and stuff. That's just not her thing. And so, I am incredibly valuable to her because I just save her a ton of time, and she just gets to focus on what she does best and stuff.
Exactly. And having worked with people like yourself that are that go-to, I know someone person makes it so much easier. We had a software developer for a company that I was working with who really was not in alignment with what we were doing. And we had a lot of issues. And another person like that came in and said, hey, I know these people. We were perfect alignment, absolutely wonderful. And when you work with an expert in alignment, it is absolutely a different world than just working with an expert.
That's right.
In alignment with somebody, it is so much more fun. It is so much more rewarding, not just from the fact that you have two professionals doing jobs and you're coming together to create something really cool, but the communication's easier. It just seems too easy. When you have that alignment, it just seems too easy, which is how it should be. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you being here and dropping some wisdom, and I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks for tuning in to the Hustle and Grind podcast, where we unpack what it really takes to build something that matters. If today's conversation hit home, do me a favor. Share it with someone who's in the trenches too. And if you're building your own brand, platform, or message and want help turning that story into serious authority, head over to theauthorityforge.com to see how we can help. Until next time, keep showing up, keep shipping, and keep chasing the work that sets you on fire. I'm Andrew, and this was the Hustle and Grind podcast.